So again, just a quick recap. You, I think, what he's trying to say is just they're definitely going to be more invested into it, and you will be able to scale those skills better through manual synergies that are kind of added onto the stat of the item itself and things like that, or onto the skill itself. So we'll definitely explore that, and that was a great question. Thanks for asking. Now, Bear Fleece, your question actually leads right into our next phase, where we are going to just do a little talk about some of our item design ideas and stuff moving forward. Obviously, that is going to be the next phase of development, so we thought you guys might be curious about some of our plans and stuff there. None of it's set in stone. We do have some options and some flexibilities there, but we'll just try to answer another question or two, if you guys have any, and if not, then we can basically roll right into that.
So GNP had a question in general chat there about our ideas for Icy Hells and Torment Trials. So the idea with these is they were something that Bonesy found an awesome, quick way to, I wouldn't say quick, he put in a lot of effort, but a way where we could get that binome, right? Because like everything is built off these environments when it comes to D2R and the graphics. And he found a way to get that to work. The problem is Blizzard locked down acts into sections. So like we can't make a new level that is Act 1, right? But Act 5 luckily has these amazing ice caves that can be endless mazes. So we decided to use those as a starting point, just really to, again, like Bonusy said before, to showcase what is possible. We want to make each of those, like right now, it's like a shit show of giant monsters with extremely high eye levels and too much HP, right? And you really need to bash your way through it, and it's very hard, especially for like even a summon mancer, right? Like skeletons are getting hit pretty hard out there, right? And if we want to move into more unique monster designs, like there's going to start being a lot of things happening on the screen. And we don't want it to be D3. There shouldn't be skeletons flying everywhere and exploding, right? It's going to be more of a methodical journey through these. So like you will find packs of monsters because that's how Diablo 2 populates areas in packs. But we want to try to, but since they're randomly generated levels, we don't get the ability to place monsters where we want. And that's where the Icy Hell levels come in. Those are preset levels. And each of those we can uniquely design the monster layouts. We're limited to a certain amount. I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong here, Bonesy, 3 different layouts for the Icy Hells?
There's currently 6 different layouts.
6 different layouts. So we have the 6 different layouts, and we can set up different scenarios, kind of, right? Like you come in and like there's, what do you call it? The Azul, Forsaken Azul's, his overseer guard, right? So you got 3 overseers that are coming charging at you when you come down the stairs, and they hit hard, but they're kind of they're squishy. So like as long as you can take them out quick, right? The next wave of skeletons is already on their way, right? Like we have design ideas for what we want to take place once we get there. But there's 50 of them, guys, right? You got to give us time. Once we get to that phase of monster design, right, we're going to go one by one, and we're going to start building these levels more standard.
And so with that said, let me give you a quick overview, at least of my plans. I haven't talked over everything with Kane yet, so he might actually get a surprise or two as well, but we have talked over much of it. So the general plan is this is going to be the true end game area. So you will be essentially done with your character, and I use done in quotes, when you have reached trial level 50 and you have cleared it all. Because the goal behind this is, so again, we have a lot of shortened levels right now. So obviously, if you look at my screen here, we've taken out a lot of the catacombs levels. We've taken out a lot of the tower levels. These are, as Kane mentioned, going to be reused, repurposed for Act 1 levels. And these are going to be new areas that we can set high monster levels and stuff for. So imagine a scenario where you go to trials and you get your face kicked in. You can't handle it. But you start getting some of the new gear from the new Act 1 custom areas, some of the new O skill enhanced gears, some of the new sacred uniques, which we'll get into in just a few minutes here, and things like that. Well, now you might be strong enough to, let's say, clear floor 10 of Icy Hells. But you try to climb past 10 and you once again get your face kicked in. Well, now you got to go to Act 2 and visit all those custom areas, get some of the specific loot and stuff there. So you're constantly building up your character over time. And in Icy Hells, specifically, the bosses are going to be designed to be a bit more diverse than like your standard boss. And that'll be by using interesting mechanics such as, for example, here I'll just show some of the pictures of the monsters real quick. So for example, like the Domer, something he might do is he'll summon a monster through his red portal, but maybe that monster also summons monsters. So if you don't take care of the summoners quick, then it just gets to a point where there's too many monsters to take care of, and you can no longer kind of kill the boss or even get to the boss. So they're going to have some mechanics in there where they have that like swarm capability, and you got to quickly take out leaders. We might have bosses that have their minions around them that are completely invulnerable to all damage until you kill all their minions. And then you have, let's say, 30 seconds to damage the boss before he summons his minions again. And you're right back to having to clear out the entire crowd before you can damage them again. And so we can start introducing things like damage checks and level checks, that if you can't, take down the boss within this time limit, then you just simply aren't strong enough. And you need to go back and redo your build some, to try and focus on that. So Torment Trials is meant to be a true trial and grind. Right now, you can teleport, you can do all that kind of stuff. In the future, there's no teleporting, or teleporting is going to be line of sight only, something like that. We will have items
within the Torment Trials.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, within the levels, you'll be able to find items that will let you transport straight to level 30 or something like that. You're not going to be forced to grind all 50 levels every time, but it gives you options there. So again, because all the bosses are in the Icy Hell section, you can skip them entirely if you wanted and just try to breeze through the Torment Trials levels. Pick up some of the rare loot that's offered in there, and maybe you're not strong enough for the bosses, or you just want to skip them and quicken up your pace. You can do that kind of thing, or you can clear every level and all the bosses. Go ahead, Kane.
Yeah, not every play style is going to work against every boss either. You got to remember that. There's no way we can design a boss that every build style can kill, right? Like there's almost an endless amount of ways to build your character, right? If you want to be a Teeth Necromancer, you're not going to get to level 50, right? Like we got to be realistic here, right? There's utility skills and there's main damage skills, right? Like some will, it's hard because like there's no PvP, right? So trying to make it like a PvP build turn into something viable PvE, it gets a little tricky, right? So trying to make sure that there's still a meta, right? There's still going to be a meta. There's still going to be like a build for each character that can beat a boss. And with unlimited respec, right, you might need 2 sets of gear, right? One for your fire druid and one for your nature druid, right? Like I wish there was like a quick, armory like there is in like Diablo. I know I hate referencing Diablo 3. I'm sorry, guys. But that could just switch all your gear for you, right? But that might be what you need. You're like, oh, I can see that this boss is like not cold immune, but he has high cold resistance. Maybe I'm going to go with something that's not cold. Right, go with fire, right? I need some more speed. I got to get to him. My bear's not quick enough. right? I got to get to Dahmer before he summons all these guys, and the bear is struggling to get through some of the waves, right? He's good at taking the damage, he's not dying, but he's not fulfilling the task. So, okay, like you need to think of a different build style that could get you there, right? And then you get these items that could get you back to level 30. Then you get to level 40 and you can't beat the guy, right? You get to level 31 and you can't beat the boss. So you put that item in your shared stash, and then you go to your, your Hammerden or your Smiter or whatever, and you let him teleport to level 30 and see if you're level 31 and see if he can get through that, right? These items give you the ability to do it. That's it, right?
Yeah, basically. And so to do that, again, you're going to need a lot of new things. Soul summons, we know they're not very appetizing right now. I'm working on that. But this is a system that you're going to build up over time that will allow you to push farther into custom areas because it'll basically be required that you have a substantial strength boost from what we would consider like vanilla stats or vanilla, skill levels, things like that. So leading right into that, I think we can just roll right into Bear Fleece's question, which is about our dual path system and some of the ideas regarding items. Is that fine with you, Kane?
Yeah, for sure. Do you want me to start with my portion? And
well, I'll just do a brief overview again.
Yeah, 100%.
We haven't talked everything over, but right now it's either revolving around either like a dual or a tri-path system. And what we mean by that is there's going to be special uniques you can find. For now, the term is sacred uniques. So you can find a sacred unique item, and these are more or less like other uniques. They'll give you some special stats, and you can use it as is. But they also have a kind of path option. And right now we have basically Kane's idea, his version of, or his path, if you will, which is the path of reckoning. He's going to go ahead and explain that. We also have like the path of damnation, which is kind of like my path, if you will. And then up in the air right now is like a tiering path, where you can also upgrade your items through your uniques through different tiers. Now, all of these paths are going to have some very special perks, if you will. Maybe they're special O skills that grant you completely new build options. Maybe they, provide you additional stat benefits you wouldn't normally see on items like that kind of thing. But I guess with that general overview kind of, taken care of for these special uniques, I'll let Kane get started on his path of reckoning.
Right. So a lot of people have seen these reckoning slots that are found on some higher end items, right? My plan for those is to have those items maintain their stats, but take on a whole new role in your build, right? So you find a lightsaber, and it's a spell blade, so you're going to use it with your melee sorceress, right? And so you're like, yeah, look, it's already a good item, but it's not where you want it to be, right? Like it's good and you can use it in a lot of situations, but it has that reckoning slot, and sometimes it spawns with one and sometimes it spawns with two, right? So think of these as sockets, right? Sockets where you're going to put something to enhance it further. So that's going to be where reckoning comes in. So reckoning is going to allow you to find these unique miscellaneous items from higher end bosses called reckoning ore, right? Reckoning ore is the basic building blocks of the reckoning system. So reckoning ore, you'll find in again high eye level areas, end game areas like Torment Trials and Icy Hells, and they will give you. It starts as a recipe, so you craft it, and you can get 2 stages of your reckoning shards is what they're going to end up being. So your stage 1, not easy to obtain, but doable for the casual player. Or the casual player will be able to maybe get reckoning shard level 1. the hardcore player, right, they still need to be rewarded beyond what the casual players reward. And that's honestly, that's just how things work out, right? If you put in the grind, you get the loot. So the second stage one, all these are going to add custom, unique abilities and stats that aren't seen anywhere else in the game, right? So for lightsaber, for example, when you use that, it's going to give you like a CTC, like that. I haven't flushed everything out yet. Trust me. I got 100 million ideas flowing through my head. Give you unique. It's going to give you unique O skills, CTCs, and stats. Like plus, like kind of like the unique powers are again in Diablo 3. How unique items have this brand new feel, right? So items where you normally wouldn't see them, right? You're like, okay, like, like Yui showed here, like Andario's Visage is good in a lot of situations, but that minus 30 fire res, you're never going to want, like, okay, I guess it's a little easier now that you can put 3 sockets in it to get rid of that fire res. But it would give you the ability to, say, like, summon Andario with you, right? Or transform into Andario and use some unique poison skills, right? You can use your poison bolt or whatever, right? Something like that. Something that will, once you get it to that reckoning stage, it will completely change how you want to build your character, right? You're like, okay, like what is going to happen? I'm not going to, like, these are something I'm not planning on even telling people what happens when you do it, right? These are things that you guys are going to discover, like rune words when, 1.10 came out and you had to like figure out what the rune words were before they put them on our Elite Summit, right? And we'll catalog them as you guys, say, oh my God, look what this does. And, share a screenshot with everybody and we'll add that to our database then so everyone will know, right? Or you can keep it to yourself and let other people figure it out, right? Like I wanted to blow your mind the abilities that you can get from this reckoning system. I want them to be unique, right? That's why they don't appear on every item, but it's on every item because everyone needs a recipe to make it unique to add the stats to it. So it can't just be a generic one. It's going to be only with certain end game items. So, right? You might even find a reckoning slot on certain rune words that aren't listed in the database, right? You make a rune word and all of a sudden there's a reckoning slot on it and you're like, what just happened? Right? It's just going to give you, it's going to blow your mind because now you can take it your rune word, which you already thought was best in slot, to a whole new level and give you a whole new idea of what you want to do with your character.
So again, the general consensus, is that it's a long-term upgrade system that provides new, unique options or just greatly enhances existing builds or paths that you wouldn't normally find on just like a unique that drops or a rune word that you forge because it requires that investment in time or luck or whatever, if you will, to do that. And that rolls into the opposite side of the coin, which is kind of my path, which is more the path of damnation. It follows a similar mindset in which it's a system of discovery and a system of luck. So I know a lot of you are familiar with the corruption mechanic from Project Diablo, and so you can take some core aspects from that because it does use a similar kind of gambling theme. But we have a few more things that help tie it in. So the first one is in Remodded, we've re-enabled the body part system. In Diablo 2 Resurrected, they've done some kind of fixes here. And body parts can now take on the name of their owner. And so here I have an Akara brain and I have a zombie brain. So I got the brain from a zombie that dropped it when I killed it. And I got this brain from Akara because she just sold it at the shop. And so it is the same item code. It's the same item. There's nothing different about them. But it will automatically take on the name of who it drops from. So we plan to use this system to create similar to the reckoning system, but essentially custom recipes that you can use to enhance an item. All these recipes are going to be different. So, one second. Sorry, I had to cough. Didn't want to blow out your guys' ears there. So a quick example might be an Akara Brain plus, I don't know, the Grandfather Sword grants you, I don't know, +7 Whirlwind or just something like that. But Akara Brain and a different item grants you a totally different bonus. Or that Grandfather plus a Zombie Brain gives you yet another different bonus because it wasn't an Akara Brain, it was a Zombie Brain, so now you have a new option available. And none of this is going to be told to you guys. We're usually very good about making tooltips very informative when we try to improve them and give as much options as we can on things. You guys have probably seen some of our recent weapon display, strings and stuff we've edited. Normally, we try to make things very clear. With these systems, it's about discovery. You are going to have to, tell your buddies in the community, hey, you should really try lightsaber plus an Akara Brain. Like that's an awesome recipe. And it will be up to the community to build up that table of what does what when combined with what. And again, because these are just kind of automatically taking the name of who they drop from, we're going to be able to have a lot of control basically over how things are integrated, what items can be used and provide what bonuses. But the key takeaway is that unlike corruption, where you can fail and most of the stats you're getting are generic stats, if you will, it's going to be plus 30% damage or +1 all skills, or they're just kind of generic in that sense. These are going to be very specific and unique to the item. And your chances of failure are going to be, much greater than your chances of success. These are going to be, you might have to sacrifice 100 brains, in total before you get that ultimate roll where you get no drawbacks, all positives, and you get the exact item you want. So you're kind of taking a choice. Do you want to choose Kane's path where you get the guaranteed results, but it's going to take you some time to gather all the materials and stuff you need to upgrade it? Or do you want to take the, my path, the path of gambling essentially, and you may get, that amazing item that's somewhat equivalent to that path of reckoning item you would have gotten, but maybe you lucked out and you got it in your first 1 or 2 brains or something like that. Then you've saved yourself a lot of time and effort, but obviously it could go the other way as well, and you could, be there for, 2 months trying to get that awesome, version and still not get it. So obviously we'll adjust, rates and stuff best we can, but the goal is that you're picking one or the other, the guaranteed success that takes time, or the gambling that, may take no time, but, may also cost you a lot. And then finally, I just kind of ambushed this on Kane earlier today, so we really have not talked about it. But a third system I wanted to implement was a tiering system. And that would just allow you to get immediate results that are smaller and incremental, but at the end, then it would also provide a similar level of power to the other ones, but a little bit less, just because you are getting that kind of guaranteed success all the way. But let's pretend here, I'm going to go on a just new character and just show any unique real quick. So just bear with me. All right, well, of course this character has all rune words. All right, anyways, we're going to pretend this mystery rune word is...
what about your rings? What about your rings?
I'm sorry?
What about your rings? No?
Oh, there we
go.
Well, we'll pretend there's an Nagel ring there. So we'll pretend this is like a tier 1 Nagel ring. So again, we haven't worked out all the exact mechanics of it or something, but let's say that if you combine 2 Nagel rings, tier 1 Nagel rings, that you get a tier 2 Nagel ring. And maybe that only does something like it bumps up the magic find by 10% or so. But then if you combine 2 tier 2 Nagel rings together, you get a tier 3 Nagel ring. And now you also get a bonus percent to attack rating. And then by the end of it, let's say tier 5, something like that, you now have a much stronger version of that Nagel ring, but it took you time to gather all those various copies. Maybe you used the storage bag to forge new ones, and you just basically kept pumping up your tiers of your uniques. And so that's kind of like the third option. So you're getting smaller incremental increases, but it's satisfying because you're making progress towards that kind of final tier. Again, or you can kind of choose one of the other systems where you're gambling or you're hoping for that big reward at the end, like with the reckoning system, where it just changes things drastically. So we're definitely trying to offer a lot of different build options and upgrades over time, so that it's not just you find that one unique and you're kind of done, maybe enhance a little bit and call it a day. We also want to add some options for down the road, so that you may spend a month building up that awesome Nagel ring, because at the end it gives you, a good bonus or whatever that once more, like we mentioned before, adds a new level of diversity or a new build option that wasn't there previously. Maybe it does nothing but free up an item slot for you. That, oh, now I don't need this, certain item that gives me cannot be frozen or something. Now I can swap it out to this, which I wanted anyways, but I couldn't use it because I needed that cannot be frozen. So, again, just opening up those item slots and diversity options. So I know I've been rambling a little bit about our different options, so thanks for being patient with that. Kane, you got any last remarks on that just kind of dual or triple path system, whichever we decide to go with?
Yeah, again, these are systems that you can only use one of, right? Once you use the damnation, your reckoning slots disappear, right? Once you start using your tiered system, your reckoning slots disappear, right? Like it might not be called reckoning slots. We might turn it to sacred points or take like something, right? We're going to go with the term sacred uniques. So we'll find something that works for that, right? Again, like the mechanics of this all haven't been flushed out. We have an idea and we know it does work, but what we need to do is design them, right? Like I have a lot written down, handwritten. I know I can barely read my own writing, usually not when sober, and like things that I haven't even put on the computer yet, right? When I'm at work, and I get an idea in my head or I get bored listening to my boss talk about electric vehicles, right? I zone out and I jot things down and I keep it going, right? At all points, doesn't matter what I'm doing in my day, I'm always thinking Diablo. I'm always thinking Remodded and what we can do to make this a better experience for you guys. Because like that's, I wish I had more time to play more, right? Like I've played through Remodded. The last time I played through it was when I built the Paladin. That's the last time I played a character all the way through Nightmare. Right? So it's been a while since I even got to play, our own game. And like the feedback you guys give us is phenomenal, right? Like this has got honestly the most positive thinking community I've ever been involved in, right? Like it's so non-toxic. It's so amazing, right? Like there's so much we can do with this. Like there just seems like so much good in this community, right? And like I know you guys, right? You guys are playing and your feedback is important. But if any of you guys have any skills or any time and you want to help out, we are always looking for help. Anything from like helping Rudy with the wiki, right? Writing up your favorite build ideas, what your experience was, I found leveling the druid was easier in bear form, and then at level 25 I switched to the wolf because the speed helped me match. Like like those kind of things, like well formatted, can be put into a guide somewhere, right? When Rudy's building this wiki, like we can have a build page, right? Like Bear Fleece submitted, level 1 to 70 guide for druids, right? And like items you're looking for are, hey, concentrate on strengths because that damage you do will add to that life leech that you're getting from the druid, right? Like those kind of things are are way more valuable than I think any of you guys can even imagine, right? Because like I have so many build ideas in my head when I'm making these items and when I'm building these characters. I can't imagine what it's like to just be immersed in it yet. Like you guys are like we don't have 150 million playtesters like Blizzard does. I wish we could pay you guys to play honestly and make it your full-time job, but I don't even get paid for this. So right, so like it is just so amazing. But if like I said, if you guys ever want to like step up and like even help, like you don't have to be as crazy passionate as me or Bonesy. You don't have to put in as much time, right? Like I'm not asking anybody to end their marriage to you know to contribute to this community. But like when we move into the itemization phase, I'm going to be looking to you guys, right? Saying like, hey, like, all right, like I have these cool items for Druid. What do you guys think about this on this build specifically, right? And you're like, oh, that would be great. But I also think that would help with the Wolf build because that added strength gets you to using that shield that you want to use to get your max block. Like that kind of stuff is wow. Like I didn't think of that. You guys are genius, right? That kind of stuff. I'm going to be looking at the community. Hey, you guys want to design items? You want to build a sprite, right? You want to have like art that you did. Like some of you guys are probably amazing artists, right? Maybe not. Maybe you can't draw a stick figure to save your life, right? But if you are, right, draw up a sketch of a weapon, not even a 3D model, like just for inventory icons, right? You want to have a cool custom charm like Bearfleece is talking about. Draw me a picture of a cool charm.
Yeah,
Draw me what you
give it
think.
to AI. They'll help you out. You don't even need to be an artist nowadays.
Exactly, right? Like if you guys are like, hey, I had this awesome idea for a bow, and like here's a cool picture of what I was thinking, and then I wanted to have like a skill that's kind of like this and give you a bonus. Like, cool. Like I will take that, and me and whoever, Bonesy and whoever, will like hash out what. Okay, like where did you see this playing in? Okay, that's cool. Like your suggestions to go in there. Like I'll even name it after you. We already did that with the ring set he made, and I made another one for a player I haven't seen on in a while, a bow, because he had some great ideas about it, and he was playing a lot of bows on, which is my favorite build, and like that's how we want to give back to you guys. Like obviously you'll get credits once things start rolling. We're not getting any money for it, so there's no royalties here, but like I was like when I first got into modding, like I was just making some items for this mod I liked, right? For when I was playing Voidstone. I really liked it. And I was like, hey, like I started learning like, how the text files worked, and I was like, hey, like here's the line for this new ruin word I designed that would really help like level your cold sorcerers. And he's like, cool, that sounds like a great idea. And then it came in the game I was playing. And I was like, oh my god, that's mine. And he's like, hey, shout out. Like we had like 60 people, maybe like 10 active in our Discord. And he's like, hey, like shout out to Kane for, these cool new helmets and ruin words or whatever. And I was just like, wow, my mind was blown that like my idea was now in this game that I love so much. Yeah. Right? Like how cool would it be, Bear Fleece, if you found a Bear Fleece called, like just Bear Fleece, right? Bear Fleece, grizzly gear, right? And it like lets you change to a different kind of bear, like a scarier one that has this new cool skill that you couldn't get anywhere else, right? Or virus, right? You get a new necromancer head that gives you patient zero aura that like poisons everyone around you and spreads like a contagion, right? Like just thinking about like this. It's like these are all ideas. These are just things I'm coming up off the top of my head, right? So like when you guys are playing, if you see that there's a gap in, like, okay, like I can't really find a good belt for this build. What do you think a good belt would be? Right? Write it down. It's just stats. Like you don't even got to mod it. You just got to like write it down, like, plus 15 to strength or whatever, right? And don't go crazy. And I'm not going to give you a belt with plus 500% enhanced damage, right? It's not going to happen. But, something that you think that would fit in for leveling, for building, for anything, right? We're looking for all kinds of help, that kind of stuff. saves me even 15, 20 minutes that I can use to concentrate on something else, right? Just having one idea, right, of just what's going on, it contributes so much to our day.
Absolutely. So, thanks for saying all that, Kane. I couldn't have said it better. So, I'd like to basically answer one of Bear Fleece's questions here, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up the Q&A session with that. We do want to give a quick remark to the community after that, and then we'll just move right on into any modding help you guys might need. So Bear Fleece's question was just what kind of late game chase items are we going to have, special charms or things like that to hunt for. While we will definitely have just kind of your normal, and I mean normal as in like nothing super special as in terms of like it's not reckoned or damnation or tiered or anything, but you're going to have some normal uniques that are highly desirable and hard to get just because of what they offer. For example, maybe it's a pair of gloves that offers fire mastery. And at first it's like, oh, that doesn't seem that good. But then you start thinking how you compare it with your corpse explosion or your fire traps in or whatever. And then your gears start turning in your head. And you start realizing how highly desired that item actually is. So that'll be some of the kind of stuff you'll find in like Torment Trials or some of the new levels where again, it's just it offers new things, new powers that aren't available for. Another thing I haven't really talked to Kane about that he's just going to get ambushed by today is set mergers. One thing I want to do is be able to merge sets. So we've already tried to give them some new life, especially like your lower level ones, by being able to enhance them and kind of make them more competitive with your cookie cutter, best in class, slot items, things like that. But I personally think it would also be very cool to be able to make new sets out of existing sets. So I'm going to use an example here. Maybe I'm going to take the Arctic Fur set and the Berserker's Headgear set. And I've collected both sets, but, they're kind of useless for me, even if I do, pick one or two to enhance. They just don't fit my build. Well, now I combine all sets in the cube, and it prints out an item, the Arctic Berserker's, headgear, or whatever. So you're now combining multiple sets into new ones that are, sets in their own, but that are enhanced or once more provide you different alternatives that you didn't have before. So now those low-level sets, even if you don't choose to enhance them, you have new life with them and can, combine them into better sets, stuff like that. I definitely understand, Dancing Mad. Thanks for joining us, and you have a great day.
So the merging sets idea is awesome, and like it's something we want to look into to make sure, right, it plays out how we envision it, right? Because like we don't want to give anybody the idea that everything we're talking about here is 100% possible, right? I'm confident in all our ideas, and with time, I'm sure we're going to find a way to make it extremely viable as options, right? I'm not just talking about the merging sets thing. I'm talking about like ideas in general. Like I have 1,000 ideas for new preset level designs that I want to build, but making a new preset level takes forever right now. And like I still, when we get to the end of phase 3, I'm going to be building some levels, right? To the detriment of my marriage most likely, because I want these to turn out really well, right? Like we are as dedicated as you're going to find, really, I think, in the modding community. Like if you look at most mods, like they don't put out updates.
And that's an excellent.
We know we're not. We got this path ahead of us, and we just want to keep forging ahead. We want this to be so good. We want this to draw attention, right? Not just from the gaming, not just from the player community, but from Blizzard, right? Like there's so many things that if they just made this small change that modders have done in, Legacy with code editing a long time ago, that can make this game so much easier for us to mod, right? Like increasing limits on old files, right? And it'll blow the game wide open for us again, right? States and stats, that's where, and levels, we're so limited, but we have so many ideas. So we need to get even more creative. And in the creative process, right, we don't want to lose things, right? We don't want to lose like overlays and things that make the skill look unique, because that's right. The HD graphics are just an overlay, right? And we want to see how good they can look. Bonesy can do some amazing things with particles and models, and it makes my skill visuals look amazing, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
D2R, definitely, like they've mentioned us, maybe not remodded, but the modding community, and honestly, who else is there out there, right? Right, we got some great mods coming. Um, like TriHub is trying to do the ESR remake, and that looks awesome. Trying to rework the Talon Rage plugin, which will help a lot of people. Um, but you know, their vision is nothing compared to what we're trying to accomplish here.
And I
Right, I'm
think
not
that
trying to put them down at all, but we we've been doing this for a year now, and we're in phase one. So like, once this is the biggest phase, I think, to be honest. I don't think any of the phases are going to take nearly as long. And maybe that's partly on my fault. Real life always gets in the way, and nothing's going to keep me away from this stuff. So,
And I think that leads perfectly into our kind of closing remark, which is basically about us and about you guys and just things we'd like to say and get out in the air. So I know me and Kane will each have our own, kind of specific takes and things that are important. So I'll just say my side first. Um, Firstly, I hope you guys can see we are not like any other mod or community out there. We are constantly putting in that extra effort, not only to make things better for you guys, the mod players, but also the community as a whole. Spreading that information out there, um, taking the time to create the custom tools if they don't exist yet. I'm no coder, but I'll do my best to implement things that I think are within my ability. They may be a little jank at times, but they'll usually get the job done. But anyways, we take that extra step because we are players, and because we are as passionate for this game as you guys are. There's a lot of mods out there. I'm not throwing any names, but they don't have that same level of dedication. Sure, they have some of that passion. We're not taking away from that, but they're just not in at the same scope. And then the second part of that is you guys. Basically, I have two things to say to that, and that is thank you and thank you. You guys have been rock stars, just no other way to put it. Again, I was kind of in the shadows in the whole Diablo 2 modding scene. I came out of it with the Resurrected because it got me excited. And the community as a whole has been just nothing but supportive, and for the most part, very understanding of how much effort things take and stuff like that. I really couldn't thank you guys enough for just being open and patient with all that. Secondly, we do this for free. Obviously, we sell full-time jobs. We still have food to put on the table. We don't advertise Patreon or anything like that. But some of you have still made that effort to, try and hunt down that information, to take it upon yourself to make donations or something. And frankly, that just kind of blows me away, that you guys would take that effort, for a total stranger. So again, just thank you. There's not much else to say about that. That's how I feel about both the community and our goals. And I'll let Kane say what he feels.
so again, like I'm on that exact same page with Bonesy. Like, you guys have been what makes this all worthwhile. Like, just like helping each other in the forums. Like, me and Bonesy, like, we try to respond as much as we can about things. But you guys have been there. You guys have played around. You guys, have uh, realized, how things work, and or seen the advice we've given previously, and you guys are all sharing it willingly. Like, hey, like, yeah, like, there's a issue with this. Like, what's going on? It's like, oh no, do this workaround, and it fixes everything. Or like, that's you know that's better customer support than you get when you call people who get paid for it, right? Like, what kind of help do you get on Blizzard forums? right? Who's ever said a message on Blizzard forums and had a bug report answered? Never. Like, that is the best part about modding, right? Like, that's what I loved when I found Discord. I didn't even know what Discord was until 3.5 years ago. Right? And I found Discord and this mod I was playing, and like I was talking to the guy who was making it, right? He could listen and like, hey, yeah, you're right, there is a bug there. Let me go fix that. What? Fix? Like, I just thought I was submitting a report and nothing was ever going to happen, right? And then like the next update, it's fixed, right? Like, we can't do those without you guys, right? We can't make this better for people, especially people who don't speak English, right? Like, we're trying to do the translations for all these languages, and like they can't ask for help because they don't know how to communicate with us. And but you guys are reporting it, and then, or girls, whatever, or non-binary, what, and they, then we get in there and add it to our tracker and we try to fix it. Right? We try to do bug fixes all the time. The game comes with its own bugs, right? We don't want to introduce new ones, as best as we can, right? Some things we can't fix, and that's why we're trying to build this community from the ground up. Bonesy started it, and I've been here alongside, just trying to give him all the support we can, because the only way we can get like all these bugs fixed is if we get Blizzard's attention, right? We need to get their attention so that they see us as a viable, not competition, but a viable asset to their community. I know personally 4 people who have bought D2R just to play mods, right? 2 of them right off the top, and they were so disappointed. I was like, what did you think? There was going to be mods like Day 2? He's like, no, not really, but I was hoping. He's like, with all the alpha scene modding, I was hoping somebody had something. And I was like, hold off, right? Like, we got something in the works. Every time I walk into my place of work, I talk to at least 4 people about Diablo before the day's done. Right? Some strangers I haven't even met. Hey, you guys played Diablo 2 before? Yeah, Resurrected's out. It's on half price for Halloween, for October. Hey, I got a mod called Remodded. And I'm like, yeah, right, you do a mod? Yeah, I do. Come check it out. We got a Discord. I got little cards printed out with QR codes. Like, I love this stuff. And I'm hoping by the time we get to phase 3, we can build something here, right? And that's when we're going to ask for a little more from everybody. I want to put advertisements. I want this to be something, right? PD2 has advertisements online. I want to put an advertisement. Like, you go to a major city and you see an advertisement, a billboard for Remodded, right? I don't care. Like, I've spent hundreds of my own dollars. Like, some of the skill icons you see out there are done by a graphic artist I hired from Ukraine, right? Like, I paid my own money to get that stuff out there, because like, the same skill icons, for new skills. I was just like, oh, I got to do something about that. And I know there's still some that are lacking. And he's been hounding me about giving him some more money, but to get these done. And he loves it. He used to be in the Warcraft remodding scene, and I explained our project to him, and he's like, wow, like, as soon as you need help, you let me know, and I will do these for you, like, as cheap as I possibly can, right? And then, with all the stuff that happened over there, he took a little break, but he's back and he's ready to, do some more work. But it's all my own personal money, and I'm willing to spend whatever I got for this. Like, this is where I find, like, this is my safe place, is Remodded, right? This community, D2RModding community, is, where the positivity is at, right? The world's a scary place out there, and it's a safe place to come here and just slay some demons. Let's do that, and let's do it in some real good style, right? You guys love this stuff, or you wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't have been doing this for a year straight with this crazy Bonesy guy if I didn't like it either, right? So, like, let's make something happen here, right? Yeah. You guys pitch in as often as you can, and we're going to keep on grinding away, and we appreciate you guys and your patience. We're going to just keep on trucking, right? Maybe it'll take another year. Maybe it'll take 6 months. Maybe it'll take 2 years. It doesn't matter. I'm going to be here when this is done. That's it.
Absolutely, well said. So, with that, this is going to be the kind of of our general remodded discussion. So, if you're joining just for remodded, we'd like to thank you again for showing up. Apologize for the lack of professionality. Again, this is our first time, but we do again appreciate you showing up. And as far as getting involved goes, doesn't matter your skill level, doesn't matter how much time you have in the day. Doesn't matter if you know how to mod or you're just trying to help financially or something. However you guys want to help, if you want to help, we can find something, for you guys to help with. So you guys are in the home of D2RModding, so obviously knowledge and stuff is not an issue. We can teach just about anything. So if you're excited for that future, you want to help us basically get Blizzard's attention and get this to be the biggest spot out there, then we'd welcome all the help. And again, if you guys are just here for remodded, this is going to be the end of the session. We're going to start rolling into some modding help and advice for some of you other mod creators out there. Any last kind of statements or questions? I guess I should let you say your final words as well, Kane, for our remodded fans out there.
Thank you guys and girls and everybody. This is the most fun I've had online in my entire life, hands down. And I can't say it in real life. Real life's pretty awesome too, but it's right up there. I love this. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So thanks again for joining us, guys, for all your modded fans. For anybody else looking for some general modding help advice, we'll try to do some live tutorials now. Obviously, we have time frames, so if it's something that's very advanced or is going to take a lot of time, we'll, redirect you to some video guides and things like that. But for everybody else, you can go ahead and take the floor now, and we'll do our best to help you with whatever modding advice you needed with.
Right, and even if you're not making your own mod, you just want to learn how to do like one specific thing, or you are interested in how we did something. Like I know right now I'm not sharing the text files with everybody. That's just because everything's in such flux. And honestly, some of it looks like crap in there. It's just like I haven't finished with this one, and I'll come back to it when I'm not so frustrated. When everything's all said and done, I do plan on sharing with the community. We just need to make sure that we're established. Once our game's established, I'll be sharing a lot more with everybody. And I apologize if it seems like I'm being dishonest by not sharing that stuff.
All right. Thank you again.
If anyone has any questions about how we do things in the text files or how we do things, with the JSON, feel free to speak up and we'll help you out as best we can.
All right, so floor is officially yours now, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot it in the chat or, obviously over voice.